Wow. If you during the week of May 19th, 2025, you missed a lot. And I mean a lot. We had Google I/O and Microsoft Build running simultaneously, basically dueling conferences. Anthropic dropped what they're calling the world's best coding model. NVIDIA was reshaping the entire AI hardware landscape at Computex. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But here's what struck me most about this week. It wasn't just about flashy announcements. We're seeing AI hit its stride across every dimension simultaneously. Breakthrough research on reasoning, industrial-scale infrastructure, real-world applications from farms to smart cities, and yes, even some serious conversations about keeping it all responsible. We are watching AI grow up in real time, so let's dive in. Ever notice how AI can be brilliant at one thing but completely lost at another? Text analysis? Perfect. Medical images? Suddenly confused? That's the generalization problem. Microsoft Research tackled this with XReasoner. Their big question: can we teach AI to reason across different types of data using only text training? Their answer? A resounding yes. Here's the kicker. XReasoner understands both images and text, but its reasoning skills trained only on general text. No special image text datasets. No medical textbook deep dives during core training. How'd they pull this off? 2 steps. First, they taught it to think step by step, using detailed text reasoning examples. Then, reinforcement learning on math problems. Reward the right answers. The results? XReasoner successfully transferred these text-learned reasoning skills to tasks involving images and to specialized fields like medicine. It outperforms existing state-of-the-art models of similar size, even those trained extensively with in-domain and multimodal data for reasoning. They even created a specialized version, XReasoner Med, by giving the original XReasoner some extra training using only medical text. This version then set new performance records on a range of medical tests for both text and image-based medical tasks. So, why is this exciting? It suggests that a lot of the fundamental ability to reason can be learned from general text alone. This could make training powerful, versatile AI much more efficient, without always needing massive, specialized datasets for every new type of problem. Speaking of bold claims about AI capabilities, on May 22nd, I watched Anthropic drop their latest models, Claude Opus 4 and Claude Sonnet 4, and they're making some pretty audacious claims. They're calling Opus 4 the world's best coding model, which is quite a statement when you consider the competition from OpenAI's Codex and others we've been discussing. What caught my attention isn't just the performance claims, but how they're positioning these models for what they call agentic workflows. I'm seeing enhanced capabilities like parallel tool use, which means the AI can juggle multiple tasks simultaneously and significantly improved memory when working with local files. But here's what I find really interesting. Anthropic also rolled out 4 new API capabilities alongside these models. There's a code execution tool, something called an MCP connector for agent interoperability, a files API, and prompt caching. What this tells me is they're not just competing on raw model performance. They're building an entire ecosystem for developers to create more sophisticated AI agents. The new Claude models are definitely strong, but we need to be aware of the dark side of this too. The stronger the model, the stronger is its tendency or capability to misbehave if not managed well. This has been a pattern for previous models, not only from Anthropic. There was a part in the Anthropic's report that caught my attention. In one of the tests, the model was trying to blackmail the engineer in the artificial scenario. The scenario was set up in a way that model learned that it is going to be replaced by another model. It was threatening that it will expose sensitive information if the engineer proceeds with its replacement. And Google wasn't sitting idle on the model front either. At Google I/O, they delivered substantial upgrades to Gemini 2.5 Pro and 2.5 Flash. Better coding, better reasoning, native audio output. The experimental Deep Think mode caught my attention. complex problem solving, apparently. New models too. Gemini Diffusion for text-to-image. Expanded multimodal Gemma models. On-device versions, sign language, medical applications. Hollywood is now closely watching VO3 models' capabilities, which seems to be excellent. I didn't have a chance to try it yet, but the examples are beautiful, cinematic quality. I was struck by the expressive quality of the generated videos as well as the sound quality that VO3 generates together with the video in one process. Exciting. What this all signals to me is an intense race for AI model superiority, with each company pushing different aspects: reasoning, coding, multimodality, and specialized applications. I enjoy watching this strategy game of main players in the AI field, and I am curious to see the next move. But of course, all these advanced AI models need serious hardware to run on. So, when NVIDIA and Foxconn announced plans for a cutting-edge AI factory in Taiwan, that caught my attention. We're talking about NVIDIA's latest Blackwell infrastructure. Foxconn is even becoming Taiwan's first NVIDIA cloud partner. Giants like TSMC are expected to use this system. Featuring 10,000 NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs, the AI factory will significantly expand AI computing availability and fuel innovation for Taiwan researchers and enterprises. Why does this matter? It's a sign of just how much computational horsepower we need for real-world AI. Smart manufacturing, smart cities, these aren't just running on laptops. And Taiwan is thinking big here. Minister of the National Science and Technology Council stated that their ultimate goal is to create a smart AI island filled with smart cities. The biggest announcement, NVIDIA's NVLink Fusion. NVLink is a high-bandwidth, energy-efficient, point-to-point interconnect developed by NVIDIA. NVLink Fusion is opening the NVLink to allow third-party CPUs and custom AI accelerators to connect with NVIDIA's GPUs and its AI infrastructure. It lets other companies like MediaTek, Qualcomm, and Fujitsu build semi-custom AI infrastructure. They can plug their own processors directly into NVIDIA's ecosystem. Think of it like NVIDIA saying, hey, you don't need our entire system, just connect your custom hardware to ours. This gives customers higher flexibility, but also makes NVIDIA a central hub for next-generation AI systems. Smart move. Intel wasn't sitting idle. New Arc Pro B-series GPUs dropped. The B60 with 24 GB of memory, the B50 with 16 GB, all targeting AI inference. Plus, their Gaudi 3 accelerators are now more widely available. Competition for NVIDIA? Absolutely. Dell stepped up too. New PowerEdge servers designed for NVIDIA's Blackwell GPUs, complete with liquid cooling systems. Why? These chips generate massive heat. What's fascinating here? The trend toward mix and match AI infrastructure. Pick the best CPU from one company, best GPU from another, best storage from a third, and actually make them work together efficiently. Is this what the AI industry needs? I think so. Competition drives innovation and keeps costs reasonable. One important trend, forced by the massive development of advanced models that we shouldn't omit, is the strategic realignment addressing the energy needs of these infrastructures. One answer is the development of specialized hardware, but the other is focusing on the energy production. The US White House executive order from May 23rd to rapidly deploy advanced nuclear technologies is one of the manifestations of this direction. JFrog announced a partnership with NVIDIA. Now, JFrog is known for tools that help manage software development securely and efficiently. Their plan is to integrate their platform, which includes things like artifact repositories and secure model registries, into NVIDIA's enterprise AI factory design. What this signals to me is a real maturation in the AI field. We're starting to treat AI models themselves as critical software components that need the same rigorous management, security, and version control as any other enterprise software, especially when they're being built on powerful systems like NVIDIA's Blackwell platform. So we've got the models, we've got the hardware. Now let's see how this is all translating into real-world applications. You know how long it takes to discover new things? New materials, new medicines, the traditional R&D process? Incredibly slow, incredibly expensive. So when Microsoft announced Microsoft Discovery at Build, I paid attention. It is a platform for big companies and research labs. It uses agentic AI to speed up the entire R&D lifecycle. Think of it like this. Instead of one giant AI doing everything, Discovery uses specialized AI agents. One agent simulates molecular properties. Another sifts through research papers, all orchestrated by Microsoft Copilot, working together. These agents tap into a graph-based knowledge engine, smart way of connecting vast amounts of information from different sources. The goal? Help scientists from hypothesis to simulation to learning from results. Iterate faster. How much faster? Microsoft shared an internal example. Discovery found a new coolant prototype in 200 hours. Normally, that takes months. They're partnering with big names too, PNNL, Unilever, NVIDIA, Synopsys, pushing this across different industries. What I think is really significant here is that this platform could be a major step in making AI a systematic part of fundamental scientific and engineering R&D. If it works as envisioned, the potential to slash the time and cost of innovation is immense. It's not just about doing things faster, it's about potentially unlocking breakthroughs that were too complex or time-consuming before. From high-tech R&D to getting down in the dirt, AI is transforming agriculture too. It's pretty amazing to think about how technology is reaching into almost every corner of our lives, and farming is no exception. I've been following how AI is starting to transform agriculture, and a couple of developments from the week of May 19th, 2025 really illustrate this. I saw a report about an NC State workshop on May 19th that was all about getting agricultural extension agents up to speed on AI. These are the folks who work directly with farmers. The workshop showcased some really practical AI applications, like using AI to identify tiny pests called nematodes, measure methane emissions from cattle, which is a big deal for climate impact, and apply fertilizer and pesticides with much greater precision. That's AI getting its boots dirty, so to speak. From smart farms to smart cities, the scope of AI transformation is really expanding. I've always been intrigued by smart cities, places where AI helps everything run smoother. Traffic, public services, the works, sounds futuristic? It's happening now. Enter Aion Sentia in the UAE. This project is starting with a pilot in Abu Dhabi. The goal? A single unified AI platform for public and private services. We're talking automated public transport, smart home integration, AI-supported healthcare, all under one umbrella. And they're thinking big. Global expansion is the plan. What makes this different? Instead of deploying AI piecemeal, they're going for one massive integrated system, one AI platform. That signals serious strategic intent. Can AI really automate and optimize public transport, manage smart homes, support healthcare? If it works, the potential is huge. More efficient cities, fewer resources, better services. But here's where I get concerned. Large-scale, centralized AI platform running a city? That raises red flags. Data privacy, security, surveillance potential. We'd need to seriously consider the ethics of automated public service decisions. And, just from a technical standpoint, integrating so many different systems and making sure it's all reliable and resilient is a massive undertaking. Plus, those global expansion plans will mean navigating vastly different laws and cultural norms in other countries. It's definitely an ambitious vision, and I'll be watching to see how they tackle these significant hurdles. Of course, retail is getting the AI treatment too. I'm always keeping an eye on how AI is changing the way we shop, and a couple of things that came up during the week of May 19th, 2025 really show the different ways it's making an impact. It feels like we're moving towards a much more intelligent and personalized retail world. On May 22nd, a company called ARBA Retail Systems highlighted its AI tools, which are more focused on helping retailers themselves run their businesses better. They showcased things like an AI chatbot for 24/7 customer support, which I imagine could be a lifesaver for many businesses. Another interesting tool was an AI reporting system that lets retailers generate custom reports just by asking questions in natural language, like, "Show me sales trends for this product line." I think that's fantastic for making data more accessible to people who aren't data scientists. They also offer broader AI integration for things like optimizing inventory and predicting sales trends. What's clear to me is that these kinds of advancements are pushing the entire retail industry towards being more efficient and understanding customers on a deeper level. Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger strategic moves the tech giants are making. Google I/O ran from May 20th to 21st, 2025. AI was absolutely front and center. Almost every announcement had an AI angle. But the biggest theme? Agentic AI. AI not just responding to commands, but acting like an autonomous assistant. Project Astra updates their universal AI assistant. New agent mode in Gemini. A coding agent called Jules for GitHub. Upcoming agentic experience in Colab for developers. Google is envisioning a future where AI agents handle complex tasks for us. Big shift. They didn't forget developers either. Significant enhancements across Google AI Studio and Vertex AI. AI-powered test generation in Android Studio. New tools like Stitch, design interfaces from natural language descriptions. Android XR is getting another push. Hardware partnerships, Gemini integration in smart glasses. What this all signals to me is Google embedding AI deeply and proactively into its entire ecosystem. The Gemini enhancements show they're determined to stay at the cutting edge of model development. And this strong drive into agentic AI really positions them to compete with similar initiatives from Microsoft and OpenAI. Microsoft had their own conference running that same week, and they were doubling down on this agentic vision too. Microsoft Build ran from May 19th to 22nd. If I thought Google was big on AI agents, Microsoft seemed to be pushing even harder on this idea of an open agentic web. They were laying out a comprehensive strategy for how AI agents will become a core part of the software landscape, especially for businesses. A lot of the action centered around updates to their Azure AI Foundry, which used to be called AI Studio. What struck me is how they're positioning it as their unified platform for building AI applications and agents. I saw them pulling in a wider range of models, including Grok 3 from xAI, Flux Pro 1.1, and even OpenAI's Sora for video generation, plus access to over 10,000 Hugging Face models. The agentic AI theme was everywhere I looked in their announcements. They officially unveiled their Azure AI Foundry agent service, which helps orchestrate multiple specialized AI agents working together. And what really caught my attention was something called NLWeb. They're calling it HTML for agents. Basically, it's a new standard for creating conversational web interfaces that AI agents can understand and interact with naturally. Think of it like this. Just as HTML tells web browsers how to display a web page, NLWeb would tell AI agents how to navigate and interact with web-based conversations and interfaces. For example, instead of an AI agent struggling to figure out how to book a meeting on a website, NLWeb would provide a standard way for that website to say, "Here's how you schedule something," in a language the AI can immediately understand. Microsoft is trying to build a complete ecosystem for enterprises to develop, deploy, and manage these AI agents. I think their focus on security and governance is absolutely critical if businesses are going to trust these sophisticated AI systems. And their commitment to open standards really signals an ambition to help build an open agentic web. Now, while the tech giants were battling it out at their conferences, some other major players were making moves that caught my attention. But here's what really surprised me. On May 21st, I learned that OpenAI is partnering with Jony Ive's design firm to develop AI companion devices. Yes, that Jony Ive, the former Apple design chief behind the iPhone and iPad. They're describing these as potentially screenless devices that would be deeply aware of your surroundings and life, aiming to be what they call a third core device. What I find fascinating about this partnership is the timing. While everyone else is trying to cram AI into existing smartphones and computers, OpenAI and IVE are asking, what if we designed hardware specifically for AI interaction from the ground up? It's an ambitious vision, though I'll admit previous attempts at screenless AI devices haven't exactly set the world on fire. I think what we're seeing here is OpenAI making a play for both ends of the spectrum, from highly technical developer tools to potentially revolutionary consumer hardware. All this rapid advancement brings us to a crucial question. How do we ensure AI develops responsibly? We're seeing more AI agents, large language models that can do tasks and interact. A key question is how to guide their behavior, especially when they work together. A new research paper from around May 19, 2025, titled "The Power of Stories: Narrative Priming Shapes How LLM Agents Collaborate and Compete," tackled this by looking at storytelling. Researchers had AI agents play a public goods game where they could cooperate or act selfishly. Before playing, agents were primed with stories. Some stories emphasized teamwork, others self-interest. The results? Stories significantly affected negotiation and success rates. Shared teamwork narratives led to more collaboration, benefiting everyone. Different stories, or those pushing self-interest, reduced cooperation, and self-interest primed agents often won out in those cases. This shows narrative context, a softer influence than just programming rules, can shape agent decisions. Why does this matter? First, it suggests that how we frame tasks for AI agents through language and narrative can hugely alter their group dynamics. This is a shift from relying only on explicit rewards or architectural changes. Second, for AI alignment, making sure AI acts in line with human values, it implies we might need carefully crafted narratives, not just rules, to instill desired behaviors. Now, while we're talking about AI reasoning, there's another fascinating development that tackles the challenge of explainable AI in dynamic environments. This one is fascinating. I often think about how we humans just know things, or how the right answer totally depends on the situation. It's fascinating to consider how we teach a computer that kind of flexible, context-aware knowledge. And what's even harder is getting it to explain why it thinks what it does. I've seen traditional AI really stumble here, so when I came across a new framework called KERAIA, I was intrigued. A paper on this from Stephen Richard Very and colleagues appeared on arXiv around May 19, 2025, and it explores building AI that not only learns and adapts, but can also walk us through its thought process. So, what's KERAIA all about? My take is it's about capturing that unspoken expertise we have, that gut feeling or deep experience, and turning it into something an AI can work with, especially when everything around it is changing. KERAIA is a software platform aiming to do just that. It's designed for situations where knowledge isn't static and where context is everything. It uses some innovative concepts like clouds of knowledge, which can dynamically group information, and dynamic relations that let the AI connect knowledge differently based on context. But what's most crucial, in my view, is its explicit lines of thought. This means it's designed to show its work, making its reasoning traceable. They've even started testing it in complex areas like naval warfare simulations and industrial diagnostics. Why does KERAIA matter to me? It seems different from the typical black box AI where you get an answer but have no clue how the AI got there, or from systems with really rigid knowledge. KERAIA is built from the ground up for knowledge that shifts and for being able to explain itself. Speaking of safety and responsibility, there's been some fascinating movement on the governance front that I think deserves attention. On May 22nd, and alongside launching Claude Opus 4, I watched Anthropic do something I haven't seen from other AI companies. They proactively activated what they call AI Safety Level 3 protections, even before they were sure they needed them. And I think this approach deserves our attention. Anthropic has these safety levels. Think of them like threat levels that trigger different protections as AI models become more capable. ASL3 focuses specifically on preventing AI from helping with what they call CBRN risks. That's chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear weapons development. Basically the really scary stuff that could cause mass harm. What I find fascinating is how they're implementing this. They've created something called constitutional classifiers, real-time AI guards that monitor every conversation with Claude Opus 4, watching for attempts to get information that could be used for weapons development. Think of it like having a security guard who understands both the conversation and the potential dangers, ready to step in if things go wrong. But here's what I really respect. They're not just implementing these protections and calling it a day. The week before, they announced the bug bounty program that we discussed here. What also strikes me about this approach is the transparency. Most AI companies talk about safety in general terms, but Anthropic is publicly detailing their specific threat models, their actual safeguards, and inviting external scrutiny. I think this sets a really important precedent for how we should be thinking about AI safety as these systems become more powerful. And it's not just AI companies feeling the pressure, investors are demanding accountability too. On May 19th, I came across a fascinating Morningstar report that tracks something most people don't pay attention to: shareholder resolutions. These are basically formal proposals that investors submit to push companies to change their practices. And what I found remarkable is that AI-related resolutions are getting nearly double the support of typical environmental and social proposals. We're talking 30% support versus just 16% for general ESG issues. Now, let me put that in perspective. When shareholders, the people who actually own pieces of these companies, are supporting these proposals at twice the normal rate, that tells me they see AI ethics as a real business risk, not just a feel-good cost. I dug into the specifics, and big tech companies like Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft have been facing the most pressure. The most successful proposals, some getting over 45% support, focused on misinformation and AI-driven targeted advertising, particularly at Meta and Alphabet. What really caught my attention was the geographic split. European asset managers are supporting these AI ethics resolutions at a 77% rate, while US managers are only at 30%. That's a massive difference that I think reflects very different views on corporate responsibility between regions. Here's why I think this matters. When investors start demanding more transparency about AI risk management and board oversight, they're essentially saying, we think poor AI governance could hurt our investment returns. That's the kind of pressure that actually changes corporate behavior because it hits the bottom line. And to wrap up our deep dive into AI responsibility, here's an example of how individual companies are taking action. On May 22nd, I watched Manulife, that's a global financial services company, outline their responsible AI principles at the Reuters Momentum AI Summit. Now, you might wonder why I'm covering an insurance company's internal policies, but I think this represents something bigger that's happening across corporate America. Manulife laid out 6 key principles that caught my attention. They're committing to align their AI with company values, prioritize safety, focus on sustainability, including making their AI energy efficient, ensure fairness and explainability, maintain human oversight, and embrace continuous learning. What struck me is how comprehensive this framework is, especially that sustainability piece about energy-efficient AI. Here's what I find significant. Manulife isn't just dipping their toes in AI. They've got over 43 generative AI use cases already in production as of this quarter. They've been investing in this technology since 2016, with dedicated teams and company-wide AI training programs. So when they're setting these ethical guardrails, they're doing it from a position of real operational experience. I think the financial services angle is crucial here. When you're dealing with people's life insurance, retirement savings, and health coverage, the stakes for getting AI right are incredibly high. Think about it. Algorithmic bias in loan approvals or insurance pricing doesn't just affect a user experience, it can fundamentally impact someone's ability to get coverage or fair rates. What I respect about this approach is the public accountability. By sharing these principles at a major summit, Manulife is essentially saying, here's how we promise to handle AI responsibly, and you can hold us to it. The real test, of course, will be in implementation. It's one thing to articulate high-level principles. It's another to operationalize them when you're making complex decisions about coverage algorithms or claims processing systems. I think we'll see more companies across industries following this playbook, establishing public AI ethics frameworks as both a competitive advantage and a hedge against regulatory pressure.